I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 23rd. And boxed beef cutout prices hit an all-time record high on Wednesday afternoon. And if it wasn't clear before, it should surely be crystal clear now that the cattle people and the packers are not in this together. They're selling beef, your cattle feeders are selling cattle, and there's no mixture of the two. And they're completely taking advantage of the situation. They're gouging the consumers on the other end, and your packers are not your friend, guys, if you're feeding cattle. I know 20 years ago you used to talk about, we're working for the consumer, we're trying to provide them with a safe product. Sure we are, but when they're making record profits and your cattle people are really struggling, your cattle feeders are struggling hard, even those that are hedged with a huge basis, but especially your backgrounders and growers of feeder cattle, your cow-calf people are in the middle of a wreck. A lot of them are going to lose their places. They're losing equity like crazy, and there's going to be a lot less participants in the next round than there was on this one. But it's amazing how disciplined these packers can be. I realize that we've got a lot of plants down. We keep hearing more and more from your news media because of all the attention that hog plant there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the old Morel plant, because of all the attention it got, because the governor of South Dakota has been getting a lot of attention. It has bled on to all our other packing facilities, and you can't hardly watch the news now without them bringing up the fact that we have several plants down. A lot of them are running one shift where they normally run two. Then the change speeds are not going very fast because they've got the workers spread out now, and we're looking at a protein shortage. So that's instigating panic buying in your retail outlets, not necessarily on toilet paper, but on meat products. And we probably are going to hit a protein shortage here because we just have got so many processing facilities down. Well, that is making it so much easier with all this media craze for these packers to continue to take advantage of the situation. And it's making it easier for investigators. We've got investigations ongoing. The same one that actually started last summer from the fire at the Holcomb plant there in Kansas, and then they've been extended out and now including DOJ or Department of Justice looking into that. And it couldn't be any easier for these investigators to see the collusion, to see the price fixing, to see the unfair trade practices. And Ray Charles should be able to go in there and find those pretty easy. And there needs to be hefty fines. There needs to be big penalties. There needs to be a negative publicity for these companies, and there needs to be jail time for those that are making the decisions. Because I tell you what, they are taking an industry that is at the core of this country to its knees. And now we've got news stories coming out that they're saying, well, maybe this corona pandemic could get into our animal agriculture and into cattle. Really? Yeah, we've had a cat or two and a tiger or two maybe get this. In this country, we cook our meat. So if you cook your meat to adequate temperature there, you don't have to worry about things like that. Let's not let that get out and cause a big hysteria, guys, because that's not going to happen if you use normal practices in preparing your food. Now, how are we going to stop all this? We can't stop it, but what can we do to help? I'm pushing this initiative for the 3014, a minimum of 30% negotiated cash trade for your packers in each major packing facility within a 14-day delivery. That will bring about more negotiation, more demand, more competition for these fed cattle in the cash market, which is the base price for all your other systems of marketing those cattle. If you guys will get on there and help us, we've got about 3,000 signatures now. We need more. If you said you support it, if you've texted or told somebody to support it, but you haven't signed on to that sign-on letter, please do it. We're going to take that to your big legislators in your ag committees, and it makes a difference, guys. If they can see your ranch on there, your sale barn, your cattle company, your business, or if you're an individual that this impacts, We want to see you on there. And you say, well, I'm not very good on the internet. That's not an excuse. You're watching this. So go on to U.S. Cattlemen's Association's website. I believe it's uscattlemans.org. Or you can go, if you're watching this video right now through social media, you're likely watching it on the nationalbeefwire.com website. If you're watching it on nationalbeefwire.com, just look at the 3014 banner or sign that's right under this video. When you get done watching this video, just click on that banner and it will bring up that sign-on letter, and you can go down there and there's just a few empty cells that you just enter some of your information on there, click the submit button, and you've done it. It's the same on the U.S. Cattlemen's site. Whenever you see the sign-on letter, just click on that and do it. And we need as much support for this as we can. We're going to try to get more than 30% negotiated cash trade, but a minimum of 30 and current delivery or 14-day delivery. Let's talk about your futures markets. Your live cattle futures for April down 265 at 88.95. And I tell you what, we keep thinking that we're going to find a bottom on these futures. Every day, surely we found a bottom. Surely we found a bottom. We're in such a wide basis now to what your cash fat cattle are actually bringing, and it's a joke. And the price that was fairly legitimate, that some of your better packers, major packers, were trying to hold. It's just so far from that it's not even a good indicator of what it's bringing. But we keep losing that, and we keep going lower every day. The futures market is such a shallow pool right now. Your open interest is barely anything. And it's hard to get people excited about going long cattle when we continue to see these news reports about these packing plants are shutting down and the cattle are backing up. But what your packers are paying for your cattle has nothing to do with how much they're making. You would think that they would kind of be half straight and give a decent price for these cattle, and they keep bidding lower. And I tell you what, I've never seen tempers flare as much as I have the middle of this week. I talked to several guys that got into shouting matches with expletives between a cattle seller and a fat cattle buyer. And the heck of it is, most of these fed cattle buyers, they grew up in the industry, and I guess they've just given up their scruples and everything. Because one of my good friends that markets fed cattle, he told me, he said, what's the deal here? Do you guys get paid extra yourselves for stealing them? Are you already working on your Christmas bonus here in April? Why are you buying these cattle so much cheaper? And the answer was, because we can. And and when they've got that kind of an attitude on things, it doesn't really behoove us to ever want to work with them in any shape or manner as we go on into the future, guys. And you guys remember this. They say remember the Alamo, remember April of 2020, what your packers are doing to you guys, and show no mercy, because there's going to be a time when the supplies are lighter. We've got less cows in the country right now. We know our calf crop is smaller. If we hadn't gotten into this pandemic, we were expecting a better demand for cattle going forward at this point, but now we've got this big backup of cattle at every stage of production, and it's going to take likely the rest of the year to try to get through it. Your feeder cattle futures, April feeder cattle, are actually up 57 cents at 118.47. Why? Because we have a lot of demand for feeder cattle right now. Your feeder cattle and your sales this week have been higher. And guys, that's what they do. They buy cattle and backgrounder and buy cattle, turn them out. They buy cattle and feed them. And guys are coming into the market and buying cattle. And there's competition there. Why? Because we sell most of them at auction. And you look at your May contract, down 7 cents at 116.67, and you go out from there and it was down a quarter to up 40 cents, but just not much to get excited about. Your fat cattle trade, mostly on your Fed Cattle Exchange online fat cattle auction, and thank God we've got that, or I guess we backed up plumb to nothing. But we saw earlier in the week that Cargill was trying to be about half straight and pay $1.05 for cattle, knowing that they're making these monster profits. What would it hurt to let some of your suppliers live a little bit? at $1.05, which is much lower than what the market would bear if we hadn't have been in this pandemic. But, you know, if you look at the board, which that's why I hate it when people talk about the board being the market. You know, you got our spot live cattle contract under $89. That doesn't mean that has to be the cash price. We should look at an indicator like these record high box beef cutout values that should be a more indicator of what cattle should be bringing. But your packers are so disciplined, they're not even pushing the issue on the plants that they have open. You'd think they'd be running them wide open if they were doing business, but no. Why should they? They don't have to. They can just wait. And confirmed sales are very, very light. We're likely going to have a little bit more trade than we had last week when they only had about 20,000, but it's not going to be very much. And the Southern Plains, Texas and Kansas haven't sold enough to establish a price yet. But Iowa had 600 head confirmed sales at 94 and 148 to 149. Nebraska about 800 head at 92 and a quarter and 148. Kansas had about 400 head at $1. You know, we were hoping to try to hold this fat cattle market over $1, and that's the highest price that we saw on Wednesday. And Texas had a few loads there at $93. But some of these are the lowest prices we've seen for finished cattle in 10 years, and the demand is just outstanding. People can't get their hands on it well enough, and it sure doesn't make you feel good about the partners that you have in this cattle and beef industry, does it? Box beef cutout values, like I told you, all-time record highs. Choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, $275.75, up $15.90 just for the one-day trade. That's unbelievable. That $275.75 is up $40 for the week and up over $65 compared to the 2020 low, which was back in February. Select cuts $261.02, up $12.20. People aren't even working. They don't have any money, and these packers are gouging them. And you say, well, the retailers can pay whatever they have to. No, they are gouging them. They are setting these prices at astronomical levels, and we don't have a lot of volume. You would think your retailers are buying more to fill those empty shelves. I tell you what, they got sticker shock on this stuff. They're just barely buying enough just to keep a little bit of product out there. Yeah, they would like to fill their coffers up, but when they're getting gouged this bad, you don't blame them for pulling back. Only 93 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. You know, I've been giving you this quote on what cattle should be bringing, what they could be bringing, if you look at what your dressed meat market is. But you look at these different prices on your box beef for your different quality grade levels, times that, time your national grading averages, and you see that on a live basis, fat cattle should be bringing a little over $173. That would be higher than our highest established negotiated price of $172 back in 2014, right before everything fell out of bed. But $173.38 is what cattle should be bringing. And you think, well, how does that work? About $173.38 times, say, a 1,400-pound steer, that's over $2,400. And if you take that highest market that we had on Wednesday, which is $1 a pound, that's real easy to figure at $1,400. These packers are making well over $1,000 a head. And you think, well, they've got expenses too. I realize that. We're letting them keep the drop value for the offal. That's over $87 a head. And maybe they're buying these cattle cheaper because the drop value is down about $3 middle of the week. Yeah, right. But and I'm sure they've got more expenses than that. They're never going to tell you exactly what. That's why I hate tying our fed cattle market to anything that goes on in the packing plant, because we don't get to see that. They have the best ways of hiding those things. And then normally they manipulate the box beef cutout values, and they put those sales so far out front that they don't have to report them. The only reason we're seeing these big high prices and these big higher trends right now is because these retailers are hand to mouth, and they've got to have product right now. So they have to show them. But making well over $1,000 head for a typical load of fed steers. It's unbelievable. Let's look at your feeder cattle market. Real-time index on DV auction late on Wednesday at 121.15, actually down 20 cents and fairly steady. It has been kind of all week. We've got good demand and we've got bigger receipts in your auction markets because guys just absolutely have to sell them. Those that don't have another place to go with them, they have to sell them. Your CME cash feeder cattle index is starting to catch up and kind of shake off those lower direct feeders that we get every Friday, and we'll be getting those here in a day or two, and it'll suck it back down. But CME cash feeder cattle index, the latest available at 119.66. Let's talk about your big feeder cattle auctions, and they were fairly impressive, guys. Winter livestock, Dodge City, Kansas had 2,700 head there. The feeders sold steady to $3 higher. The calves, and you would think they would be higher, but guys don't actually have to have those. They don't have, a lot of our turnout dates have already passed on our big grazing areas, so those have kind of went by the wayside, but the calves that were on hand were weak to $3 lower. Our biggest auction market in the nation right now, OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 9,700 head there. Feeder steers there weighing over 800 pounds were $3 to $5 higher. Those weighing under 800 pounds were $6 to $8 higher. And this would include some grazing cattle, some of those bigger stalker type cattle that you can turn right out. And they sold really well. Feeder heifers $2 to $4 higher. Let's look at some of our individual quotes. I'm proud to say that our newest market broadcasting on DV auction, and we're getting the real-time automated quotes from there, is Green City Livestock Marketing in Green City, Missouri, right there in the Green Hills in north central Missouri. That is a premium market, and we're going to be getting those quotes coming in there, which is really important around 4th of July and around Thanksgiving when they have their big specials and there's not a lot of volume going through the sales. It's going to keep that real-time index really true, guys, and from now going forward, you'll be able to view and bid on those sales right there at Green City Livestock Marketing. And look at this quote that I got out of there, their first sale to broadcast over the internet. 76 head, 703 pound steers at $142.75. That's impressive. Some other quotes. How about going straight south down to Springfield Livestock Marketing Center? 128 head of steers in Springfield weighed 781 pounds at $128. That's awful good. Let's go over to northwest Missouri, and you say, man, there are a lot of sales in Missouri. Yeah, Missouri's got a ton of really good sales. All my friends at St. Joe Stockyards, my old stomping grounds there, 89 head, 556 pound steer calves at $169.25. How about over in Oklahoma? Cherokee Sales Company, Cherokee, Oklahoma. My buddy Jared Herman there. Been wanting to make the feeder flash here for quite a while, and boy did he make it today. 66 head, 805 pound steers in Cherokee, Oklahoma, $124.85. But the highest quote that I saw anywhere in the country on Wednesday come out of Billings, Montana, public auction yards, or better known as Pays. 95 head, 651 pound steers, $151. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.